actually quite the opposite. Sometimes it's controversy. And a lot of media, you get more clicks when you make something sound so dangerous or so um, hyperbolic that like our attention is raised when we sense danger. You feel drained. You feel exhausted after, you know, doom scrolling for 2 hours, 3 hours. Change your algorithm. Delete that app. You, at the end of the day, get to decide how you live your life and also the things that you're consuming. Hello again, and welcome back to another episode of Aligned Identity. Thank you so much for clicking this video, and thank you so much for all the support that you guys have given me. I appreciate it tremendously. Today, I kind of wanted to talk about some of the influences that we allow in our lives. And one of the most immediate things that come to mind is the kind of media and the kind of content that we're consuming. If you're listening to this, then I think you're on the right track. You know, you're listening to content that's meant to motivate you, meant to give you a positive mindset, hopefully good stories. Hopefully you can always take something positive away from this channel. That's the whole purpose of it. If I'm not delivering that to you, then unsubscribe now. But if I am, please make sure you hit the like button and keep this thing rolling. I appreciate it so much. Nowadays, there's so much content to consume. It's endless. It really is. Between all the reels, all the photos, videos, etc. And unfortunately, a lot of things that we watch are just entertainment and meant there to either entertain you or it's meant to, cause controversy. I think comedy is a good thing sometimes. Everyone needs to laugh in their life, and I could see comedic value from the entertainment part being actually beneficial to your life. But one thing that's prevalent in our media is negative, and every day I feel like there's a new threat to each and every one of us, right? Unfortunately, there's world wars going on. There's a lot of bad things happening around the world. That's just the way it is. And unfortunately, the news and a lot of outlets only show you the bad things. Like I looked at my feed when I got home, and a lot of it was, kind of doom and gloom. A lot of it was, North Korea is launching more missiles. Russia can nuke us any day, or things with China, or things just out of my control. And, the things in Israel and Palestine, unfortunately, I mean, we can use our voices to speak up about things that we may not align with. I think that's important. But it's also important not to let it consume you. Because at the end of the day, all we have are our voices to, like, preach to, our congressmen, to our senators, to leaders in power. But we also elect them. And that's what that platform is for, is so we can elect the right people to be in those positions. That's the best thing that we can actually do, is vote correct people into office. And I'm not making this political. You vote however you prefer and how you align with. But after that, you can't let it consume you. I see so many people taking it, holding it on their shoulders, that it's like a weight on them. And if, you feel like you resonate with that, I would really encourage you to start, like, letting go and understanding that some things are out of your power, some things are out of your control. And it's important to, instead of have negative content and things like that involved in your life, start transitioning towards the positive and the transformational things that you are, like, looking forward to. Um, One thing that I noticed, and this is my personal experience, was that, when I started the Aligned Identity YouTube channel, I made it a point to subscribe and have different channels as my subscriptions than um, my personal page, right? My personal page had plenty of random channels from Yu-Gi-Oh to video games to um, just influencers and things like that. And I realized that I would just get caught going from channel to channel, just wasting my time. It sucks away a lot of time from your day. It sucks a lot of time away from your ability to think. There was just a podcast I listened to today that inspired this, and it was a Modern Wisdom podcast. And he was explaining that, as a society, we've tended to use content as a way to suppress our true emotions and to occupy us. One of the things that he talked about, and I am the first one to admit it. If you're in line for coffee and you're just waiting, what are you doing? You're checking your phone. Like you don't want to look at other people. You feel uncomfortable, and a lot of the things like our phones, it suppresses that emotion of feeling anxious or feeling comfortable in our own skin sometimes. And we have to be conscious and aware of that. That's something, after listening to that podcast today, I really took that away, and something I wanted to talk about to you guys, because I think it's so useful and it's so true that, we have a hard time feeling comfortable in our own skin, and we use media to just take up and occupy that space. I play a ton of video games, right? Especially lately, I've been addicted to Counter-Strike 2. I played it before in the past, but I never took it seriously. I was more involved in League of Legends, which I'm getting off track here. But the point is like, I was addicted to other games, and now I'm kind of hooked on this new one. And this one is a very strategic game. There's a lot of intricacies that you can learn, and I love learning about it because I want to get better. But I'm starting to think about the way I'm spending my time. I've been spending more time on the podcast, watching reels, making sure that I'm getting consistent uploads, consistent reels. I've been looking into thumbnails. I've been looking into video editing. I've been looking into other cameras and things to, increase the quality of this podcast, because this is at the root of my identity and the root of my focus, and I should take more time to do that. But when I'm not, I notice, I am playing video games a lot. I am consuming content about video games. And for anyone listening, what is drawing you? What is pulling you away from maybe something that you should be focusing on, right? After a long day of work, there's nothing more than I want to do than just, watch the content that I think is important. I changed my subscriptions on the Aligned Identity podcast. I changed that to, fitness, health, mindset, educational podcasts, and educational channels and things like that. In the ambitions of, if I consume content, it's going to be content that I know is valuable, something I can take away from it and use to my next day to improve myself. And that's a constructive way to actually use content. I'm not perfect. Like I just admitted to you, I still play a lot of video games. That's something I feel like has guilt behind it. And that is a true thing. There is guilt along with, when you're scrolling a lot, you don't feel good about yourself, right? When you just watch, 3 hours just disappear because you just scrolled through a ton, right? Because we're all aware that this tools meant to bring us in and draw us in and keep us captivated in that content. That's the whole purpose. That's the whole algorithm. Being aware is the first step. Being aware that you are being targeted, that you are easily influenced by content, like everyone listening to this, it happens to all of us. Our brain is not developed to be able to accept all of these streams of entertainment between all the streaming platforms, like I said, all the like content online. Before, people used to have like DVDs and things like that at their home. They didn't have a whole catalog of options. You know, that's why like Family Video existed, was because you would, I have time to watch a movie, and it used to be an event to watch a movie. Now it's just so readily accessible in our home that we just do it subconsciously, and we don't even make an event out of it anymore. And that's something that we've lost. And I love technology. I love the evolution that it has given us, and it has made everything so much easier. But with that comes drawbacks, and with that comes addictions, and with that, it can be destructive. A lot of the most popular people in the world now are influencers, right? Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, a lot of these people are not even actors or actresses, like people used to know actors and actresses before these influencers were able to be so popular. And that was because we would all sit down, watch a movie, and we would recognize them from movies. Nowadays, because the way content is transformed is, other people get to give you an artificial interpretation of what life would be like or could be like, or, we live vicariously through them, right? A lot of people paint a false picture. And even though we may feel like, this is cool, like I really enjoy this person and stuff, there is no lack of comparison, right? We're comparing ourselves a lot of the time, and that's when I think it becomes destructive for us. We're not meant to paint a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world. We all have our own battles and our own struggles, and we suppress them by absorbing content and entertainment to try to suppress that. In the podcast, Dr. K kind of talked about that. It's like we're separating ourselves, our uniqueness, and we're suppressing it because we absorb and just numb ourselves with all of the options out there. We have to be conscious of that, myself included. When I'm spending 4 or 5 hours playing video games, I'm suppressing things that I should be dealing with. Whether it's, some emotion that I'm feeling. A lot of the time I find dopamine and like almost focus and like objective when I play video games, because it's taking a risk. When you die in a video game, there's no consequences. You get to respawn and do it again, and you get to learn from that, right? But we're not taking those same chances in real life because there's real consequences. And that's something that video games gives us, where it's like there are no consequences. There is no judgment. You get to just keep going and get better, right? But in reality, if I was taking a chance on this podcast, or if I was taking a chance in a business, those are the kind of chances that we should be taking, but there's so much risk involved that playing a video game where I could be successful one game and then not care if I was unsuccessful in the next one. It really hits that dopamine hit for me, is like knowing that um, I have an objective and I can accomplish that as many times as I want to. But I should be focused more on doing that in my real life. What are some things that um, I'm striving to do, trying to be in this world? I wanted to make this because I felt that, um, we don't make it a active decision to not consume content, and we don't think of it as like it could be harmful because it's so encapsulated and so widely used by everyone. Even it's a conversation starter, like, oh, have you seen this TikTok? Have you seen these trends, right? And being left out sometimes sucks, but if it's not helpful to you or your growth, then we should not be consuming that kind of content. Again, I think comedy, and if you're laughing at some of these things, sure. But believe it or not, most of the stuff that you're watching or consuming, it's not comedy. It's not to make you laugh. Sometimes it's actually quite the opposite. Sometimes it's controversy. And a lot of media, you get more clicks when you make something sound so dangerous or so hyperbolic that, like, our attention is raised when we sense danger or controversy, that our media knows that. And so that they will publish things just to try to get a click out of you, or just to try to get your opinion out of you, or just to try to rise some sort of emotion out of you that is of anger or controversy or any of these feelings that come along with it. So be conscious of the kind of things that are going through your feeds. And my recommendation is, if you are like at any sense feeling the same way about what I'm speaking about, and like you feel drained, you feel exhausted after, doom scrolling for 2 hours, 3 hours, change your algorithm, delete that app. You, at the end of the day, get to decide how you live your life and also the things that you're consuming. And, I need YouTube and Spotify just for this podcast alone. But I could circumvent having it on my phone. I enjoy my subscriptions and I enjoy consuming good content, so I keep YouTube on there. But TikTok is not downloaded on my phone. Facebook is not downloaded on my phone. Instagram is not downloaded on my phone. And it's strictly to prevent myself from looking through those things, because yes, you can find good content in there. But for me, a lot of the times, even if I'm not subscribed to things in Instagram, it's still going to give me reels, or it's still going to give me suggestions, and still even give me actual just popular feeds to my timeline. And that's not something that I want or need. I don't have Twitter downloaded. That was the first app to go, because I realized that it was just so controversial every time I opened something up. Even if it was in the video game sphere, even if it was in the fitness sphere, there's always like some sort of controversy going on that captivates us, makes us like have an opinion on it. And then all you are kind of doing is gossiping about whatever that controversy may be. And then you spread it, and, it takes a part of you. But at the end of the day, all it's doing, all that energy that you're putting into things like that, is just suppressing yourself. Because in reality, we should all be dealing with things that are going on in our lives right now. How can we get better right now? How can we grow to be better tomorrow? With that comes being selective about what we allow inside of our brain. And, it all just starts with a conscious decision. And like when you're waiting for your coffee, keep your phone away. Feel comfortable in your own skin. Feel comfortable looking around and being okay with people looking at you. Even at the gym when I'm in between sets, sometimes I just look at my phone because it's like a unconscious decision that I just don't want to be looking at people. I don't want to feel judged. I just don't feel comfortable at the end of the day. If I'm honest with myself, I just don't feel comfortable. And that's silly to think like that. That is not how we were made. We should feel comfortable in our skin wherever we are. And that's just a small, trickle down effect of the media that we have. And that's just a small example of how we suppress ourselves and how we aren't taking accountability for our real ability to feel comfortable. For me, again, with video games, a lot of the time when I don't feel very satisfied with what I'm doing, or if I feel like I have more energy than I'm actually giving in a day, video games are good. Video games are a good outlet for me because it gives me a place to send that energy. But instead, I should be using that energy to run more. I should be using that energy to not play video games and maybe listen to a podcast, read a book, do something more productive with my day. And that's just a way to optimize myself. That's a way to start getting in tune with my internal feelings and get more in touch with myself instead of consuming more content to push those feelings down. But what's great about it all is that we have a choice, guys. We all have a choice. If you're listening to this, you chose to listen to this podcast for this long, and I'm so grateful for that. And I want you to almost feel enlightened that we're even made it to this point. The fact that you've listened this far and you understand it, hopefully it has lit a fire within you to be like, you know what? I feel that as well. I want this content to be useful. I want this content to light a fire within you to make changes and be the better person that you plan to be and that you want to be. We all have that choice. And it's up to you to make the conscious decision to be better and to grow. So with that, the first suggestion that I would make would be to consider the content that you've been consuming and really deep down think, is this benefiting me? Is this making me feel better? Is this helping me in any way? Or is it just numbing the emotions I feel inside? And or bringing out judgment about myself? Is it bringing out comparison to other people? Is it bringing out, controversy within me? We don't want that. We should be dealing with the things that were going on in our lives and not others. We need to analyze what's useful and what's not. And, myself included. I know video games are not the best outlet for me. And I need to dial that down to almost a reward system after I complete a podcast, after I complete everything that I need to get done. Then maybe I can allow myself some entertainment. And I think that's a good way to look at it, is maybe as a reward system. If there is something that you find entertaining or enjoyable, don't get rid of it completely, but make it a reward. Make it, after I completed all the tasks, either spiritually or things that you want to accomplish, like objectives that you want to get done through the week, whether it's even small things like your laundry, cleaning, dishes. Make sure you get your personal chores done. Whether it's, researching something that you're interested in that you've been putting off, or, like just trying to improve the life that you have, and you know what those things are. And that's what we should be spending our time doing. Things to feel better about, things that help us feel like our future is getting brighter. And that's my absolute goal, is to always try to keep improving and to grow. That's all we should all be trying to do. And it's easier said than done, but it's a conscious decision, and you're up for the task. We all are. We get to control our future and our destiny. And it starts with the things that we're putting in front of our eyes and consuming every day. So, with that, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And if you like this episode, tell me how you feel in the comments. I appreciate you all so much. Our next episode should be an interview. I will not release the name yet, but it is a person who has been a great role model for me, and someone who has helped me out on many occasions and has experienced quite a few life adventures, and you're not going to want to miss it. So with that, thank you for being here with me on another episode of Aligned Identity. I appreciate you. Without you, this channel doesn't grow. So thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you next week.